Good morning, everybody. Well, it's finally come to blows a little bit with me and Glenn. Not really, but um, I don't think that they really know how to do a Comic Con overseas. I think that they've probably got an idea, but they just don't do it like the USA. So we're gonna have a little bit of a smackdown, I think. But let's see what old Glenn has about these Comic Cons or whatever they call them over there, book conventions or whatever they call it. Hopefully, we can find out exactly, if they have high tea or whatever they do over there. I don't know if it's Polo Club, man. I don't know what they do. They probably have conventions in Downton Abbey. Maybe we'll find out.
Welcome to the Comics Unlimited podcast with your hosts, Glenn B. Fleming and Ted Davis.
Welcome to Comics Unlimited. How you doing, Glenn?
Well, I think I thought I was doing all right. I'm not so sure now.
Well, anyway, I'm glad that you stuck around. So, welcome to Comics Unlimited. I'm Ted Davies, known
I'm
for
Glenn
Robert.
Fleming.
I'm. Go ahead, Glenn. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry, I finished.
No, it's good.
I'm Glenn Fleming. That's me.
That's
Y'all
good.
know what I do.
And yeah, we kind of write books. We draw and write books. You guys can check out everything that we're doing at Comics Unlimited. Check out under Glenn B. Fleming on Amazon. We're going to be bringing out quite a few more publications here quarterly here soon. And check out, that's one of the reasons why we get the podcast. We want to tell everybody that we are proudly a part of the Rising Tide Broadcast Network. Let me find there we go. Check out everything we're doing 7 days a week. We're a group of creatives that help creatives build their business. So check it all out. There's so many different things going on with this channel that are both entertaining and educational. So check out everything that we're doing. We're also sponsored by Cashman's Comics in Bay City, Michigan. Say hi to John and the guard dog Petey. If you are a season collector like we are, he'll ship nationwide. And if you're not, he'll still ship nationwide. But go check out everything that they're doing at the comic book shop. He's been there 26 years, and John's awesome. John is just great. And I really I appreciate him taking his time and efforts and monetary concerns and all those other things and giving us sponsorship. So, all right. I guess somebody in this, I don't know, somebody around here has got some type of book at Indiegogo. So, oh yeah, here it is. So I want you guys to check out everything that we're doing on Indiegogo, that Glenn's doing on Indiegogo, with this incredible book, A Personal Journey, Jack Kirby. I've cracked into probably 10 pages of this. It's good reading. You probably don't want to read it before you go to bed because you'll be up thinking about it. Honestly, it's a great read, and it's nice because it's a personal. It's extremely personal when it comes to the day in life and the day in life of Jack. At home. Yeah, you've brought a really very interesting perspective on me as a collector now with Jack Kirby. I'm forever changed by it. So thank you for doing it. I'm still reading the book. I'm still going through it, but it's definitely something I think any collector will want, especially with your signature on it. I can't say enough about it. So
no, thanks. It was great for me to do, obviously, because it's something. When I see the book, I just remember a lot of the things that went on and everything. But I just had to. The reason I did the book was sort of an exorcism in a way, to try and get this guy out of my mind. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't think about him all the time, but I do think about him a lot, because as soon as I walk in my studio, I see all these comics and artwork and everything and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's a great. Right. But I'm not sure it's worked. I think I still.
Well, I mean, he haunts you in a good way.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but he was great to talk to. He was fantastic.
And we are all part of that now. We can be part of that experience.
Yeah, I wanted to share
that's what it's about. The DVD is really good too. It's really involved. There's a panel. There's a lot of different things on the DVD. Even the intro to it, I really liked, with Helen's voice, your wife. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
So check out everything with that campaign. Very affordable. You're getting a signature as well from the author and the tourist and the man himself, Glenn, and see the way Jack was. I mean, it's very endearing. It really is. It really is.
I think I can't. The thing I find difficult to believe, like I've said before, I don't know whether there's any other kind of stuff like that out there. There must be, but
No.
I've never seen it, so I don't
haven't
know.
seen it either.
And I can't believe that it's taken an Englishman, to fly over to the United States and do this. I had to fly to California. I flew 9,000 miles twice. Yeah. Well, 18,000 miles twice because I have to go back. And it's taken that to do it. And I'm glad, but I think it's one of those things. I think if you knew him, if you lived next door to him and you knew who he was, it's one of those things where you don't do it because you can always do it.
Right. And that's the thing here. I mean, you're never a prophet in your own hometown. I'm sure that his family, razzed him, even though he was who he was,
Yeah.
Maybe not, but I mean, but it goes without saying. I mean, that's the way we are as human beings, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there's a place in the Midlands in England called the Cotswolds. You might have heard of it. And it's supposed to be the most beautiful place on earth. According to the people who live there, right, everywhere else on earth.
Sure,
but I've never been there. It's an hour and a half for me, and I've never been there. But I've been to the Taj Mahal.
Yeah,
and I know a guy, an Indian guy who worked in a restaurant who was born an hour from the Taj Mahal, and he's never seen it. He's never been, because you don't go, do you?
No.
There's got to be somebody who's lived in Manhattan who's never been up there at the Empire State Building.
Yeah.
And they've lived there 80 years and they never went up it.
Sure. And that's the real testament, because you talk about, and you talked to this, we both have, taking the opportunity that is in front of you, making the opportunity that's in front of you, whether you're writing or creating books, whether you've got a story to tell, anything, you are living proof, and you are putting this to work. And we're all better for it. So you guys definitely invest in the Indiegogo that Glenn's got on here. So I got a couple things I just want to go over first before we start the throwdown. I ended up getting my second printing of Retrieve that came in. I want to give you guys an idea. These just came in. They're hot off the presses, literally.
Look at that cover. That cover's brilliant.
Thank you, man. I appreciate
the first one is outstanding, but I think that, I don't know, just something about that. Wonderful. Sorry, I'll shut up.
Appreciate it. No, you're good. I appreciate it. What I've been doing too is I did something a little bit different. So what I've done on these ones now is I've changed. Sorry about the light. I've actually put a copy of the art without any type of masking on it or any type of text. I wanted to do that. I'm going to start doing on every single one of my drawings or comics, excuse me, so that you guys will have a non-interrupted picture of the artwork.
That's a good idea.
And they're almost sold out. So I'm going to end up, I know I'm going to do another printing of the second printing run, but they're almost sold out. So please, 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 if you guys want one, let me know. Get me, on Instagram or anything, Facebook, direct message me, and we will get it situated. You should have, the cost should all be there. Those are $5 a piece, plus the shipping. I think the shipping is, I want to say $7, depending on where it is in the States. So we'll have to kind of see how that goes, but I'll make it as cheap as possible in the shipping that I can do for you. So, yeah. So that was it. I didn't mean to, always be promoting all that stuff, but you guys, at least So, okay, got the notes. All right, that's good. All right, so like I was saying, so you guys are, driving your Jaguars or whatever, and you drive into the posh, these incredibly elite summer homes, summer mansions, and you set your old books out, your antiquated books, or your comic books for that matter, and you guys you have high tea. You have, chocolate. What's it, crumpets? What do you guys have over there?
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah,
biscuits.
Tea and crumpets.
Yeah.
Crumpets are brilliant.
That must be a great Comic-Con.
Well, I've never seen anybody eating crumpets at a Comic-Con. I've never seen, in fact, I don't think I've ever seen anybody eating crumpets anywhere other than in my kitchen. But what we do is what the British conventions tend to be very Americanized. It's like walking into America because most of the comics are American and all that kind of thing. So it's not that unlike one in America, I wouldn't have thought, except maybe for the brashness of you Yanks.
Oh, tread lightly, young man. All right. Go ahead. Come on, I gave you some heat. Go ahead, throw some back.
No, I was when my first convention was in Birmingham in 1984, and I had the pleasure of meeting Will Eisner and Walt Simonson within 10 minutes of each other.
Oh my God!
Which was, I'll tell you the story about Will Eisner.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Shaking hands with him, so I could shake the hand that shook the hand of Jack Kirby, because I hadn't been to Kirby at the moment, at the time. But yeah, and then Dave Gibbons was there. Chaikin was there. I was sitting next to Chaikin. He was having an argument with his wife. He was getting all these awards. I think he got 6 awards for American Flag.
Wow.
And she was, I don't know, she was upset about something. I don't know what he'd done. And he was sitting right next to me, and I could hear this. And I'm thinking, and this guy's saying, the award for best penciler, Reuben Flagg, you know, and
wow.
And everybody knew he was there, and he's getting his ear chewed off by his wife.
So what did they like announce it like? Oh, by the way, I'm sorry, Glenn. Before we get started, we should probably say hi to everybody.
Hello,
sorry,
everybody.
guys. Thanks for liking and sharing this out. I apologize before we start getting involved with the throwdown here. Carl, Donna, thanks, Carl, for the compliment on my beard. Thank you. Ryan, thank you for the compliment on reading Retrieve. Thank you. Or waiting to. I'm glad that we're. Hopefully, you can read it soon. We'll get you the copies as soon as we can. So, and you're already on the list, Ryan, as we talked about. Okay. And then Carl says, I like my original first runs of Retrieve. That's cool. All right, good. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. I actually have, I'm going to interrupt real quick. I forgot one thing.
Go ahead.
I added over the weekend, one of my vendors that supplies my books, or not my books, but actually sells some of my books, gave me back one set of the original Retrieves, the first printing. And he told me to give it to the, sell it on to the public, because this is, he said, I want to make sure that somebody gets the first copies of it. I've got 2 left. These just came in. I've meant to say this to you, but 2 left of the original first copies. So, and from what I'm checked out, I guess I'm going to be selling them for $40 for the pair. So you guys let me know if you want it. It's all signed, ready to go. So I figured, hey, if Glenn can sell a book for 40, okay, I'm just teasing. But no, those are going to go up. That's the last 2 I have, and I wasn't even expecting.
You're missing the point there, aren't you? My book's worth it.
Oh, I'm sorry. When did that development deal happen for the Jack Kirby personal journey book?
Well, there you go.
I didn't say that loud, did I? Right. I'm sorry. Okay. Thank you guys for listening to us joke around, kid around.
Hey Ryan, how are you doing, man?
So did they end up like announcing like Will Eisner? Did they just like announce it over the PA?
Yeah, it was I can't remember exactly where it was in Birmingham, but it was this big arena thing, and there were lots of different rooms and stuff. I guess it's the same in the States. So lots of different rooms, and events are going on at the same time. And it's a shame because you miss a lot. You've got to make a decision. You've got to make a decision. So I saw Chaikin going into this room, and I heard the people walking past and discussing things, that he was up for 10 awards on Reuben Flagg. And I've got Reuben Flagg, and I like Reuben Flagg. I think the artwork is fantastic. And so I thought, that's Chaikin. So I followed him in. And that's how I ended up sitting next to him. I wasn't stalking him. He just happened to walk in. As I was going in, he just went in with his wife. And I went in, and the only places left was where he was. So I just followed him in and sat down next to him. So something had happened. I don't know. She was chewing him out. And then, there's like a stage and chairs, and this guy comes out and he said, well, we're here for these awards and blah, blah, blah. And then they got to it, and Howard got 6. And what he did was I think he went up first for best comic book, and then best pencil and best ink, because he does a lot, doesn't he? Yeah. And then his wife, every time he came back with these awards, his wife was giving him shit. So he said to her, right, you go for the next one. You go for that. So she went up and got the next 3 for him. So I don't know what was going on.
Hopefully, oh man.
But it was great. I talked to him and got some pictures and stuff, and he was all right. Yeah, he was a bit.
Yeah, and that's good. I know.
A bit full of himself, but he was all right.
Do you think that was one of your? Ryan asks, "What's your favorite Comic-Con memory?" One?
Easy. Just said it. Meeting Will Eisner.
Yeah, that must have been pinnacle. That must have been a pinnacle for
because nobody knew who he was. I told you the story. Nobody knew who he was,
which is crazy.
It was a panel with Dave Gibbons on of Watchmen.
Yeah,
and Will Eisner,
which I was watching last night. By the way, I threw it on the telly last night.
It's brilliant, isn't it? Brilliant.
Yeah, it is. It is.
And he was on the panel with Dave Gibbons, and it was fascinating because first of all you get all the how long does it take you to do a page and all that stuff, and then it was like two professionals forgot the audience and started talking to each other about brushes and paper and all this kind of stuff, and it was and everyone was getting
you can't do
but people were getting up and walking out.
What?
Well, they want to know what's going to happen next week in Superman, don't they?
You Brits, God, man.
And then it finished, and he went out the side door, and I went out and I saw him, and he was just standing there, this guy, and everybody was milling past him, and nobody knew who he was.
Isn't that something? God,
it's scary in a way, and I just think, well, you missed it, chance of a lifetime, and he was just standing there, and I went over to him, and I just introduced myself, and I just held my hand out. I said, "Can I shake your hand?" Well, and he shook my hand, and I said, "Because I want to shake the hand that shook the hand of Jack Kirby." And he thought that was the funniest thing he'd ever heard. You know what I mean? He said, "Well, yeah, he was quite good, that Kirby guy. I wonder what happened to him," and all this kind of thing. And then he got called for another panel, but he was just standing. This god of comics, was just standing there.
He didn't have a handler or anything. Nobody is.
No, he was on his own. He was on his own, and he was.
Yeah, that's the best.
The thing was that this guy. This shows you how much people pay attention, because he'd just been on the stage. These people are just listening to this guy on the stage, and they didn't think it was him, or didn't know it was him.
That's crazy. I think. Well, I talked about my. I think probably the best. My best memory at Comic-Con was meeting George Perez on that one. It was such a it wasn't even at the Comic-Con. It was out in the literally him getting his bag out of the van to go into the hotel. I mean, it was a very
a normal situation.
Yeah, and then after that, it was like, "Hey Ted, what's up?" It was he always remembered your name. He's that type of person. So, but yeah, I've got a lot of memories that are similar to that, meeting people that were, legends as far as actors and that kind of thing, to where I've actually sat down, like I was talking with I was Brian's show yesterday. I was talking about Mickey Dolan. Meeting him was just a freak thing. It was, and we were sitting at the same table, and we ended up having lunch together.
Yeah,
and
because he's a real person.
Yeah, he is, and I'm not saying he's not. I mean, he's got to be. There's got to be a certain distance, but I'm sure, like with anything, I'm sure that he gets without. One of the things that really I think helps, and this is a big tip for people, that when you meet a lot of actors and that, or a lot of creators, don't take a picture. Don't ask them to take a picture. You will get a much, much better conversation. You will. I mean, I was, and then after you get to the point where you have become kind of cordial with each other, then ask, because it's a huge thing. I've had people that, even like Ralph Macchio, I told you who. I mean, I don't. Sorry, the mail's here. Calypso's excited. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe it's not here. I don't know. But yeah, it doesn't matter who it is, whatever actor. But if you just, treat them like a human being first, if they acknowledge that they want to be talked to, or with, whatever, but don't necessarily just, be paparazzi all over them, because that's,
don't be their best friend.
Yeah. And you don't have to be, to be. They have a, certain, presence. Some of them are very cordial. Like I said, but some of them aren't, but just,
That Will Eisner thing, as I say, was the best thing that I did at a convention, but it was nearly beaten by 2 years later in London. I saw there was Alan Moore, Dave Gibbons, Barry Windsor Smith, Gil Kane, and Brian Bolland.
Yeah,
all standing in the corner talking to each other.
Wow.
So I marched up to introduce myself and just could I grab somebody for 5 minutes? So, one of them. And just as I got there, and I said, Gil Kane was near me, and he turned and I said, "Excuse me, Gil, could I just have a word?" And he turned and then was called for a panel, and they all just went. So I spoke to him, but never got a response because he didn't say sorry or anything. He just went. They all just went through this door and went on this panel. So I nearly met all those guys, but I didn't. I had met Brian Bolland and Dave Gibbons later, but Gil Kane, I never saw him again after that. And
that's a shame.
And Alan Moore doesn't do it anymore. He's spat his dummy out, as we say.
Yeah. Well, and he's brilliant. Thin line between brilliance and insanity, but he's still brilliant. Jason Momoa was great. He was very endearing. I was very, very, very impressed by the way that, I mean, he could drink a lot of beer too, but he was great. He was awesome. I think that he was he really wanted to meet and just sit down with people, and it was a small group. It just happened and it was impromptu, and that was pretty cool. So, but anything like that.
Speaking of being impressed, I forgot to put this in your package.
Oh, cool. Well, when's the parcel go out? That's great. Well, bring it when you come over.
I will. And I was also going to send you one of those as well. Or are we?
Oh, that'll work. Yeah, you can put that in the post, man. That won't cost that much. Hell, send it COD. I'll pay for it. Whatever.
But these are rare. These are rare.
Yeah, the Crikeys. Yeah.
Yeah.
People over here don't realize how big Crikey was.
I wish
Crikey was. Tell people about that real quick. Crikey was a publication.
Crikey was a magazine I produced about in the last decade, 10 years ago, 12 years ago, and it was all about British comics, and it was about the Beano and Dandy and Dan Dare and all that kind of stuff, and it was really good.
Beano's different here in the States. Beano is actually a drug or a medication. I think it's over the counter that takes away your stinks. But anyway,
oh dear. And it's not over. Maybe it was based on that. I don't know. But we have things like the Topper and Hotspur and all these things, and we have all these cartoons in. That's what it was about. Your
Comic-Con setup. I was teasing about without naming. We all know that you guys go to Harrods for your Comic-Cons. How about like how about some cosplay in Westminster Abbey, something like that, or maybe
you probably get arrested.
Buckingham Palace. Maybe we can do a Buckingham Palace show. Go over there and we'll just.
Well, I'd love to. I'm sure
changing of the guard. We can just have a little panel for.
I'm sure if the Queen. I'm sure the Queen could afford the artwork for Fantastic Four #1 if she wanted it.
Sure.
If it's still around, if it's not in somebody's garage,
it's still around
or somewhere. But yes,
yeah. Am I wrong? What I mean, changing the guard and all that. You guys have all that kind of stuff.
That's called tradition. You guys don't have it yet. You're puppies. You just been born. You don't have this kind of thing. But you're just too busy trying to wreck everybody else's.
So you don't.
Get your own. Get your own.
Oh,
get your own.
I got you. All right.
We've got 1,000 years. You've got 800 years to catch up.
Oh, and you guys are perfecting it. I mean, is that what it is, or what?
We rule the world for 300 years, which is longer than you guys have been around.
That's only because you didn't teach reading in your schools. The royals were the only ones that could read.
Rule number 1: don't let anybody.
Don't educate your public.
Don't give information.
We're pretty good at that in the States too.
Information is power.
Right. Well,
J. Hoover.
Let's talk about Comic-Cons in general. Okay, so here in the States, you've got the smaller Comic-Cons, you got the mega Comic-Cons. We talked about the one Midland Comic-Con that it actually turned into a huge event the last year. But then you also have these huge, arenas. This is pre-COVID, but now, we've got events. We've got like San Diego Comic-Con, where it's a panel. It's literally panels, where you miss half the show because you're going to an interview with this person or that person. How cosplay? I mean, how is it set up with you, and how do they do it there?
It's similar, but it's like I said to you, I've only been to 2 where I wasn't manning a stall.
Yeah.
And
stall,
they
really?
and
You don't,
yeah,
we don't call it a stall. I mean, a stall is where you put a horse, man. That's
no, that's a stable where you put a horse.
my God.
You got to learn the language.
Yeah,
You have to
I
learn the
do.
language.
I do.
Yeah, because
Okay.
it's our language. You might not know that, but it's our
Okay,
language.
boomer. All right, boomer. All right, whatever.
So
Man.
yeah, the last time I went, there wasn't too many cosplay people around, but there were lots of people there. But like you said before, and like I said, you miss more than half of it because you have to make a decision. But there's a billion comics for sale and everything, you know, as normal, and it's I enjoyed all the conventions I went to, but I enjoyed the ones where I wasn't selling.
Yeah.
What's
I'm
wrong?
just reading Eric's comment.
What's
I gotta post it.
I've not got his. I thought
Okay,
a store was where you urinate.
Yeah.
If you want, Eric, if you
There
want
you go.
to.
I didn't mean to cut you off. So
That's all right. So yeah, it's a great thing, but like I say, I would rather have been walking around rather than trying to sell. But that was later when I was doing Crikey. But I'll tell you, I sold the first convention I went to Crikey with. I took 200 copies and thought I'm going to be bringing at least half of those back.
Sure.
And I sold out in about 3 hours. So
and
for the rest,
got subscriptions too on top
and
of that,
subscriptions,
right?
yeah. And I got people wanting to give not subscription, but give me their address to send them one later and that kind of thing.
That's great.
I wish I'd taken 500 because I reckon I would have almost cleared them.
But you don't know. I mean, you know,
no.
how big are these event halls? You know, everybody, if you haven't been to the UK, it's an island. I mean, so you have 2 acres of land is like an estate over there. I mean, there's a lot of things that it's different proportionately, I would think. How big are the stalls or the tables that you guys are?
A table would be a normal size, 6 foot by 2 or 3 or whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's standard. Okay.
And then you have to start paying for things if you want a plug.
Yeah, right. Well, you do here too.
You know, and then but I did go to, I'm not sure which convention it was now, but I did get a free table. The guy next to me didn't turn up.
Yeah.
And the guy who was running the place came to me and he said, "You can have that table. Please put your stuff on it. We don't want to show empty spaces."
Yeah.
So understood. I said, "Yeah." So wham, loads of stuff. I had 2 tables for the price of one for 2 days.
That's great. Wow, good.
You know, which is fantastic.
What's the deal with I mean, let's get right down to it. What's the deal with the smaller books that you guys sell? Why don't you guys change up and sell American sized books? Why do you have a European sized book? Why do they do that?
Because we're European.
Yeah, but that's okay. Lame. What?
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is. I mean, why?
I don't understand. I don't because when our comics were coming out in the 60s and before, America was on the moon.
Yeah.
You know, the world was smaller. So it's to do with the imperial sizes and the size of the plates.
Right.
We discussed this about the why American comic sizes, artwork size went to 11 by 17 as opposed to the big stuff.
Tell people again.
Because of the printing aspect. They could if they went to 11:17, they could get 4 pages on one piece of film.
Yes.
Whereas the large size, they could only get 2. So it was economic. So we work in imperial sizes. So the comics were based on that. It's the same idea, same principle.
So when are you guys going to change to get, because I honestly, after listening to this DVD, all right, and the panel was done in 2017.
Yeah.
That you guys read the show, and the one guy said that he was I forgot his name. He talked about America being there's so much. You guys want all the books from America.
Yeah.
Nobody wants anything from Britain. They want everything, Marvel, DC, from America. There's a reason. Well, this is back in 17, though. It's different. But
there's a reason.
But still, everything. How much has changed? With Marvel and DC and everything, and the storylines, all that stuff.
You see, I would prefer if they were bigger.
Yeah, I think that you could do like an 8.5 by 11. I think that'd be great, and we'd have like a magazine size. Yeah. That'd be awesome. Yeah, I agree with that. I don't. What about you guys? Anybody in the comments? I mean, I just figured that
Well,
like with manga, it's great, or
yeah,
anything like that. It's awesome because they're small, they're compact, and you can take them anywhere with you. You can put them in a coat pocket sometimes.
yeah.
I love that. You can't do that with
Well, with this
you
plug
know.
again, I I,
Mhm.
I I didn't know whether to make it American size or A4.
Yeah.
So I made
A4
it
was good though.
so I
Yeah.
made it A4.
A4 is good. Yeah.
I thought, well, I'll try not to pander to too many people.
Yeah.
You
No,
know,
that's great.
I'll
And
pander to myself, and I think it's a
well,
perfect
and I think
size for
yeah,
it.
and I think we do have to do that. That's one thing. And but listen to your, and like I tell everybody else too, listen to your public too, your fans, because they'll
Yeah,
tell you, hey, because some of the artwork that I put on, I'm like, yeah, I don't know if I like that. I don't know if it's going to work on that cover. And I put it on there, and then all of a sudden everybody just loves the cover and wants a print. So just go with your gut mainly, but it's still something. Listen to your fan base too.
well, I'm just about to put out Hatch 2, as you know, and I'm
Yes.
still considering doing it A4 rather than American comic size. But my head is telling me to do it American comic size because it will be better received in the States. So that's probably where I'm going to go.
I think you should. I
Yeah.
think you should. Let's get back to the
Yes.
the ripping on each other at hand here.
Yes.
So what was your worst experience when you're dealing with Comic Cons? Was it mismanagement? Was it the wrong table?
No,
What
the worst thing for me, the worst thing for me was the parking at one of them. I had
that's
to
the
take
same here. Yeah.
take my stock, obviously,
Mhm.
from the car
Yeah,
because the back was full and the boot was full.
sure. The
Think you
boots,
call you call it
everybody,
you
the
call it the
trunk.
trunk. Yeah,
Yep.
that was full, jam full, and
Mhm.
I didn't have one of those. This guy loaned it to me. Brilliant, one of them little like a two-wheel.
Dollies. Yeah,
Yeah,
dolly.
he
We
had,
call it a dolly here. But,
and I had to. Helen went on the table. I dropped her off because it was sort of the car park was like a underneath the venue, so you could either get a lift up, which you couldn't because there was a queue and it was jammed,
yeah, right,
or you
right.
could carry it up the steps and across, and that's what
Yeah.
I did, and I still got it finished before some people came out the elevator.
Wow.
So I made the right thing.
Okay.
But this guy lent me his little dolly thing, and it was a doddle because I could just obviously load up. I can only carry so
Right.
much.
Right.
And that was the worst thing. But I suppose you can't really blame anybody for that because it was in a hotel situation.
Yeah, right,
So,
right.
and a hotel's a hotel. They're not going to cater for me or people
Right.
carrying stuff. Only the
How
suitcase.
are your hotels set up a lot like here in the States to where they're like hotels, or are they set up like old inns, like
No,
over a pub or something?
they're like hotels in America, yeah, the big things. And well, it depends where you go. But this place was big. It was in London, down near Abbey Road Studios.
Oh, yeah, sure.
So it's going to be a big building and all that. And it's a nice place. And there was massive halls, massive, huge. And I think there was about 4 of them because we were in one that was selling artwork and magazines. Another one was just purely comics, boxes and rows of boxes. You know, those big long boxes the guys have, millions of those. Then there was a manga one. I didn't go in the manga one. I'm not really into manga, but there was some manga one. And then there was like a conference area where people could meet and chat and stuff like that. And the professionals were in there.
Yeah.
And then when there was a panel, there was another room.
Yeah.
Or 2 rooms, and then you could go in there. And there was one guy arguing with one guy because he wanted to show this film and they didn't have the projector ready and all this stuff was going on. But that was nothing to do with me. I just felt sorry for him because he spent a lot of time and money producing this thing, and the people who ran the place didn't have the projector he needed
Right.
when they told him they had. So I got away from that because I'm not getting involved in any of that. But
So was cosplay anything? I mean, were there people? Did they have like a contest, or was it set up like that, or no?
I was at one where these. It was quite funny. There were these guys. There was obviously a Luke Skywalker, and he was running around. And then 2 seconds later, 3 stormtroopers were after him,
Chasing him.
him. And
Yeah.
these stormtroopers came to me. I was at the table, just standing there. And there were 4 stormtroopers, and they came to my table, and they all just stood there with the guns, you know.
Yeah, right.
And they got these helmets on, so you can't see the face. And this guy said, "I need your help, citizen." So I said, "What?" And he said, "What's this? This is what I did." He said, they have the armor on the leg, his upper leg, and the strap was near his groin, and it had come undone. I think like Velcro. And he said, my arm is going to fall off. I need a good citizen like you to strap it back on. And I thought, I'm not going anywhere near this guy's crotch for
armor
for whatever reason. So I just said to him, I'm not the citizen you want. And he said, he's not the citizen we want. And I said, move along. And he goes, move along.
That's great. See, that's a good story. That's cool. I'll cut you a little slack on that one. That was good. Parking is always shouldn't say always. Motor City Comic Con. We would go down there quite a bit, and we would do the Dan's Dream, the nonprofit we would set up for and everything else. And the parking was always, even though we're vendors, we still had to pay for parking every day.
Yeah,
and it was like, what the,
Yeah.
And it's like $10 a day. I'm like, come on, dude.
I think the whole thing cost me 20 quid parking for 2 days.
I'm like, forget it. And that's the first thing, I said, I'll park wherever and walk in if that's the case. As long as we can unload, whatever we got to for the duration. But man,
well,
I just think that's the worst. That's the worst.
When I went out to the London one, there's like a forecourt. So when you get there, everybody is racing to get to the forecourt to go through the doors with the stuff. Yeah. But the problem is, it might be great if you're first, but you can't get out because there's cars in front. They're all double parked.
Yeah,
and they're all bringing stuff in. And I saw one guy having an argument because he'd taken all his stuff in, but he couldn't leave his car there, but he couldn't move it because 3 other guys had parked their
blocked
cars,
him in,
and they were moving their stuff. Yeah. So being first didn't work for him,
Right.
So you can't win, but the parking is a problem.
Well, and some of the other places, anyway. Like some of the places that were like we would have at the convention centers, it's another company that's parking the cars.
Yeah.
So they're paid by. So they're just like, screw you, whatever. We're gonna get as much money as we can.
Of course, everybody's there making a buck. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just I'm like, whatever. But yeah, that's kind of a rub. How's the food and stuff at certain places? They have all tea? They have any coffee there? Probably not.
Yeah. They have a bar and they have all sorts of stuff, but the food's pretty rubbish. But it's burgers and
all that,
hot dogs and all that sort of stuff you don't need. So we always take our food.
Right. Yeah,
because you know what you're eating then, and it's what you like, right, and all that kind of thing. But yeah, you can get. There's a bar that I don't agree with the bar because I've seen some people on the lash down there, and they just get pissed,
Oh drunk. They get drunk.
Just get drunk, and what's the point?
Yeah, they don't do that in our. Well, they might now, but I don't think they do after hours. One of the things at Motor City, they had Motor City Comic Con. It's attached to a hotel, so it's you go to the bar at the hotel. It's a little different. Right. I don't think they allow alcohol in the main hall.
Well, I don't think they allow it here, but people bring it from the bar.
Yeah,
and they hide it under the table, and you can see all these pint pots under the table because they don't realize that their cover doesn't go to the floor. So when they put when they're behind the table and they put it on the floor, and you're walking towards the table, you can see it near their feet.
How is it set up for so? How's it set up for like if you're doing sketches and stuff? So if I came up to the table and said, okay, you've got you get a black and white sketch for $10 or whatever.
Yeah,
10 pounds.
I didn't see a lot. I only saw a couple of people doing that. I've never done that, but I only saw a couple of people doing that. Mm-hmm. So that might be an American thing, and it might be over here now because I've not been to a convention for a few years. But and I would imagine that now that the American guys are coming over, it would happen because people want that kind of thing. But
sure.
But the some of the 2000 AD artists were there, and they were quite what's the word, arrogant, I think, and they wouldn't even speak to people.
See, that's ridiculous.
Them,
I don't. If you ever get that big, if you want to call it that, then get out. Just be done with it because
don't go. Don't go.
Yeah, just forget
but a lot of people, like in America, I think they sort of get the publishing house gets them to go, doesn't it, to promote.
Yeah, I think so. And then they pay X amount. I mean, I know that a lot of the actors get huge money to for the day or two that they're there. They get paid before anybody else does, I think. Carl says that the people running the venues are the real ones making the money. Probably. Yeah. I don't know. I know that there's a few. there's
How
a you
much is a
charge
table? How much is their table at the New York? Is it $1,000,
$1,000 probably,
$3,000 or something?
something
It's
like
a
that,
lot of money.
if you're approved. So I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, you got to be vetted and everything else, and
Okay.
yeah, which is fine. I don't blame anybody for that. It's just setting a standard. It's like San Diego Comic Con. It's just a mass of people. So I
Yeah.
mean, it's not you're I don't know. It's almost like you're lost in the numbers. That's why I like a lot of the smaller shows, because you're not battling other creators and that kind of thing. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but
On the Birmingham convention in '84, the first one I went to, I was lucky enough
yeah.
to I know this guy who runs a shop in Birmingham, and he had my comics in his shop, and he invited me. He was down there, and I met him. I talked to him on the phone and things like that, and I met him,
Sure.
and he said, "Oh, what are you doing tonight? After the show?" And I said, "Well, nothing, just going for dinner, and that'll be it." He said, "No, private party room, whatever it is."
Yeah.
And I went, and Louise Simonson was there. Walt was there again.
Awesome.
A lot of the 2000 AD guys were there. Boland was there again. That kind of, and Chaikin was there. All the people I met, and I didn't see Will Eisner, but they were, all these people, and I talked to them all. Just fantastic.
Right.
I was talking to Louise Simonson about Kirby, and all this kind of thing.
Awesome.
And she just released Power Pack, was it?
That's awesome.
I think she wanted to talk about that, but I wanted to talk about Jack.
Sure.
Well, she was really great. She was lovely.
And that's one thing too. A lot of the when you get to know the promoters and that kind of thing, they'll tell you which hotel the parties are at, like where they're going to be, and so you'd have to go to a different place, or we would stay at one place, but then another place would have, and that's how we would do it too. I mean, Pete, I don't think Pete's on the call this morning, but Pete and I, he said jokingly a couple shows ago about how we had one hotel room just for alcohol, and what he meant by that was that we did, but it was set up so that people only would drink in that one room, which was Well,
we were lucky because we went down, and I'm not sure how this came about, but we actually were booked into the hotel where this party was. So
when it was done, there. That was a crapshoot.
We only had to go up 2 floors to the room. We didn't have to.
That's great.
Negotiate Birmingham at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
So
they would. I know a lot of them. A lot of the people that even Jason Momoa, that they were all staying at the same hotel that we were, and that was something that's they would actually not take elevators. They would actually walk down the stairs, because that way nobody would be in the it was really interesting how they managed the security
They
things.
weren't trapped.
Right.
They weren't having to jump out the window with a shield and
right, exactly. Well, I told you there's a lot of it, the fan base can get really sometimes aggressive. And that's why I didn't like, we were at the restaurant, and there were actors there with their wives. They couldn't even eat because women were falling all over them, and they had security had to be called. It was ridiculous. It was just, it's just really,
you have to show a bit of respect for people, You
do, and let them, they're human beings. What is the, well, I mean, what is the best financial, con that you've been to in Britain? You don't have to give numbers, but just
financially to me.
Yeah.
The one where I sold 200 crackers.
Yeah. Was that that wasn't Birmingham though?
No, that was in London. London. It's a big thing in London. I don't know whether the Birmingham one runs now. I'm not sure. I'm not even sure whether the London one runs. I think it does. But Kirby was supposed to be going there in the mid '80s before I met him. That was a big deal. That was that swept round that he was going to be at this convention. So I said, well, whatever I do, I'm going to that. And then about a month before, he declared he wasn't going, but I still went. But he wasn't there.
I remember when Stan Lee came to Motor City. It was 2-hour waiting, 2.5 hours just to get in the parking lot. It was unbelievable. There must have been 500,000 people in that place. It was crazy. Norman Reedus was there. I mean, it was nuts. It was so busy.
I'll tell you about my story about Stan Lee. Didn't have him a few years ago. A friend of mine sent me a ticket and all that kind. I didn't go because of the dispute that was going on. I don't regret that.
No, I think that's
but he
good.
wanted. But I did learn he wanted some like $50 for a signature and $50 for a photo, and you could only have one photo and one signature. And I thought, no.
What's the, come on, you know? I mean, I wouldn't be like standing there for an hour talking to them when you have a line of people. Of course not. But, but I've heard that from other, not with Stan, but with other creators.
Yeah.
And it's just, these meeting your heroes again. And then they're really, not all of them are very heroic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Well, that's why I was so pleased with Kirby when I went there. I had no idea what he was like.
I mean, opportunity. I mean, I can't, man.
When I tell you, when I got to, it's all in the book, you've read it, you'll see it. And I've said it before, I got there, I was expecting to be there for an hour.
Yeah.
And we're there for about 6 hours.
That's fantastic. Morning, Joe. Joe's in the house.
Hi, Joe. A really generous man, and his wife was wonderful. So
yeah, and I'm glad that we can be part of the story now too. Each one of us can be. Joe's one that as far as Comic-Cons go, especially in Chicago, I know that he's got a very interesting way that he does things as a publisher in that in Chicago at the certain shows. I've talked briefly to him about it. He knows how expensive it is. I mean, it's a hell of an investment on some of the things. I don't know what it is. What does a table run in the Birmingham or whatever you were talking about?
I think it was the last table I was on, I think was 150 quid for the day.
Okay.
And this
so
is
a couple hundred bucks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
But the thing is with the London, I mean, even with Birmingham, but with the London one, the main one, I've got to get there. So it's going to cost you 100 quid in petrol.
Yep.
Then you got to park 20 quid. Then you've got to eat and all that kind of thing. So you as you'll know, your margin is very fine for making. Well, I did make money, but not enough to make me think, wow, I'm going back again next year.
Okay. I mean, you've got to balance it out with literally networking.
Yes.
And you got to potential sales in the future. There's a lot of things you have to look at. It's not just, okay, oh man, thank God I made my table money back.
Yeah.
That's one thing. That's one thing. That's a good goal to have.
For the financial aspect of it, the best thing that happened was the subscriptions I got.
Yeah, period. That's what I mean.
Yeah, it was okay
to
sell.
Term. Yeah,
it was okay to sell the single issues because people buy anything number one, and that's what they were, a lot of number ones. And I probably on that one, when I saw the 200, I probably made about 50 quid for the whole weekend, which is not enough to do anything.
I would be,
like I say, with the subscriptions, I probably took about 50 subscriptions that day.
Yeah.
So
premier booths are usually $2,000. Small press booths are $1,000. Artist Alley's $200 to $800. Yeah, right. And that's one thing. Do you guys have Artist Alley in Britain? Do they do it that way?
Yes, I think we do. Yeah, I've not been for a while.
Yeah, and I know Jody. He does this every year. I mean, he invests in it every year, and it's remarkable.
Well, it must work for him then.
Well, I mean, he balances it out because I know that you have to balance it out because I know sometimes I've gone to shows and made an absolute killing, and then other shows I didn't. So you have to figure out the balance of it all.
Well,
I look at it and say, well, look, it's a write-off. I'm still trying to get a profit. And if it doesn't work out, then you know what? Make the best that you can. Meet as many people as you can, vendors, whoever. And
when I was doing Crikey with my former colleague on Crikey, we went to Leeds, which is about 50 miles.
Sure. I know Leeds very well.
Right.
Yep.
We went there and we sold one copy at Crikey all day. We had to petrol, food, parking, table. We sold one copy for £3.99.
Yeah.
And but like you say, you've got to take the rough with the smooth. You can only plan it. You can only plan it as far as you can plan it. If nobody's going to buy it, nobody's going to buy it. You have no control over that.
You've got tire kickers. You got tire kickers. That's the way
and if you don't go, you're not going to sell any.
Absolutely. And I think that the long term, the 4-day shows are really where it's at. 2-day shows. I rarely will do a 1-day show. Rarely. And I've said that before in my other shows. One, I mean, it depends. If I'm invited, that's one thing. That kind of stuff. You've got to really balance that out because, I mean, drive time, like you said, overnight stays, everything. I mean, it's a real, and to do larger cons like that, you've got to really justify, okay, it's $1,000 right off the head.
Yeah.
Okay. $1,000. Okay. So how do we justify that?
Yeah.
All right. So you do buy, okay, you got to have X amount of this sold or X amount of subscribers. You got to have, there's all kinds of parameters.
It's the logistics, isn't it? It's a nightmare because you'll know that when you're going to do that 2-day or that 4-day, the hotels are going to be full because people are going to those same place.
Right.
So you've got to be quick and get that room nearest you can in a decent place. You don't want to stay in some free bit.
Right.
And there's all that to consider. It's a big thing. It's a big outlay and a big thing.
And I have a lot of respect for the guys and the women that are doing this week after week after week. They're on the road constantly for months. That just always blew my mind. I'd see them at Motor City Comic Con. Yeah, we're going to be in Chicago. Yeah, I'll see you there. Or we're going to be in Cleveland. Oh, I'll see you there. There's other people that they're like what we call carnies, carnival people, where they go to different, and it's what, not in a derogatory way, but just that they've, they're just trying to, it's crazy.
Out.
Yeah. And just to make a dime, just try to keep the dream alive, It sounds like it's pretty similar. I still think you guys are lacking, but
well, you'll have to bring your stuff over and show us how to do
will. Well, I guess that's an invite. Everybody heard it. Okay. Everybody heard it on the show.
Yeah.
Eric Hawkins. Well, I mean, Joe, you guys go back through the live chat too, because a lot of the things that Joe is saying too. I mean, LLC here in the States, sole proprietorship is different, but on all factors for write-offs and, check your local, check federal and state laws, everything else as far as write-offs and that. But if you're a business owner, be a business owner. You're not a hobbyist. You know what I mean? Learn the laws. Eric says hotels really eat in the profits. I'm mostly stuck to single day shows and driving it. Yeah. And I can see that's all balancing act. Like I said, I really like to set up and I like to get there for a couple of days because I've noticed that with me, especially the first day is I'm selling and they're getting to know me. The second day I'm doing commissions almost all day. I mean, that's the way I've done it. And I don't know why it works out that way, but it's just that way. I end up, and it's hard when I don't have two people at the table. It's hard when Chris isn't with me because I'm drawing and I'm taking money and trying to. So what a better problem to have, right? But usually two shows. If I can do more than that, if like I said, like the Lexington show, it's 4 days. That's ample, but it's a bigger investment. It's all how you look at it.
Let me tell you a funny story about Birmingham because I have a wicked sense of humor. I went in, there was a tent, huge tent, like a marquee, and it was full of original artwork, people selling original artwork.
Yeah.
And all this stuff. And if I'd have had the money, I'd have bought every piece because it's just wonderful, isn't it? Comic artwork, just beautiful stuff. And I went to this corner and there was this big piece. I can't remember what it was from, but I think it was Eric the Viking or something. There's this big piece, all in 20 panels, double page spread, but one piece of board.
Wow.
All in color. Beautiful, beautiful. So I'm there and I'm looking at this artwork, right?
You're wanting it bad, yeah. You're wanting to buy it.
I'm looking at this, and this kid comes up, he's about 15, and he's obviously with his dad. His dad's and I'm about 30, his dad's about the same, bit older. And this kid comes up to me and says, "Oh, you can have that for £100." And I said, "Wow, that's really great." I said, "There's only one thing wrong." And he said, "What's that?" I said, "I need to know whether the artist knows you've got this artwork."
Yeah.
And he says, "Oh, yeah, there's no problem with that. No problem." I said, "Well, I'm the artist and I didn't know you had this." Well, so he shoots off to his dad and his dad's, well, and he starts putting all his stuff away like he was going to get arrested. So I just put it down and walked out.
My God. You weren't really the artist though, right?
No.
So you lied.
That's just my wicked sense.
You're just having him on. That's brilliant, man. That was funny. That's some good
stuff.
It
just goes to show that the artists don't know the artwork's there because he was packing everything up and leaving.
Well, I mean, it's right. It's one thing I told I had, and I don't know how you feel about this, and I know in a lot of the formats they won't let you photograph other people's artwork.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I had a person last week that asked to photograph my artwork. And I told her it's fine. One shot. I need to be in the photograph as well. Of course she can crop it down or whatever, but
Yeah.
so she did. She took it, and then that was it. But I ended up hearing later that possibly she used that drawing to take to somebody else to draw something for them. So I don't know if that happened or not, but I noticed that from now on, there's no photography at the table unless I'm involved at all.
When I went to Jack's house, and this is in the book, when I went to Jack's house, I was taking photographs of artwork that was on his wall, and I still have those photographs, but I've not published those because he looked really, really disgruntled about this.
Yeah.
And I said to him, "What's wrong? Have I said something wrong?" And Roz said, "People have been taking photographs of this art, so not from the house, but of his artwork and publishing it." And I said, "Right, stop." I didn't take it. I mean, there are in the pictures, they're in the background. You can't help that. But these were pictures of the artwork, and I still have those, and I won't publish them because I said I wouldn't.
Right.
And they didn't want me to. So just because they're not here doesn't make it right. So I won't publish them.
Well, it's ethics, man. You got principles. It's good.
Yeah,
that's good.
And it's people should do that. But it was the way that he didn't ask me not to. But he was just pissed off about it, and I saw it, and I thought I'd said something to him. Anyway, so don't allow anybody to take photographs of your artwork.
I'm just not going to do it anymore. Chris is like, she said if I was there, I would have told her no. I said, okay, well, I said I was, I'm wheeling and dealing. I'm trying to work with other people, and she seemed like a nice girl. I didn't, and but I'm not going to do that anymore. There's going to be a sign on the table, and that'll be it. It'll be no photography. So unfortunately that's the way it goes, and that's something too, as I don't want to stifle anybody's earnings at all. And I'd rather, and if I'm busy and I can't get something drawn for somebody, I understand that too. If you like the other person's art and you're trying to, absolutely. But there was other circumstances though. I know that people don't ask permission, and they were taking photos as well. And for me to give permission to the one girl is one thing, because she asked about it. That was fine. I'm not upset about any of it. The biggest thing is that I just wanted to make sure that credit where credit's due. And my prints are pretty affordable. I don't know why but that's fine. It's all good.
Oh, but if they get one free, free's free. A photograph,
Yeah,
I agree with you. I agree.
My mug's in it though. I mean, I'm like right up against the photograph, so it's like she could crop it out, I guess. But
on a general thing in life, I think people could just learn a few more manners and things, and just consider better consideration.
And the fact that she even asked, I thought that was very that was good. And I was
because some people think that because they bought your comic, they own you.
I have had that a couple of times.
That's the way with. I remember Paul McCartney did this. Somebody said something to him, and he told him what to do. But this guy reckoned that because he bought all his records, he owed him something.
Yeah,
but he didn't, because the trade is you give me your money and I'll give you a record. That's the trade, isn't it?
Yeah,
you don't own me because you bought the record.
Right. It's a product. That's it. Photography or videos taping for interview or webcast. Okay. Yeah, I agree. But a random, no. And I agree with that. So that's going to be a staple. I'll have proper signage on all my work from now on. That's but that's a learning curve, and copyright violation is a crime. Absolutely. And I don't think that it was to her, there were other people I know that they were they had the video out and they were videoing everything. And it wasn't just videotaping me, it was videotaping the table and everything. So it's like, okay, so either they're artists, they're trying to get more ideas and stuff. I get that. I understand that. But just kind of you got to protect your own, I guess. But I'm not like, jump on the table, get out of here. It's not like that. But it was just it's a little off-putting, But that's pretty much it. I mean, all in all, it sounds like there's similar events, similar things that you guys do that we do. So
I think so. Yeah. You see, we have. I suppose everybody does it, but Spider-Man #1 will be 15 feet in the air, so you can't jump and grab it. But
sure.
all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Do you have security? A lot of security in those places?
Security is there, yeah, but it's not bristling, you know. But I imagine that adequate.
Yeah.
You know,
I was going to tell you though, I've had people that they purchase books and all that other stuff, but they become a fan and stuff, and they're very we used to call them in bike terminology when I used to race bikes, wheel sucker, where you would actually they draft off you while you're riding your bike. They would the air coming off the back wheel on your bike, they would have their wheel, their front wheel there, and a draft would keep them. They wouldn't have to work as hard, right?
Slipstream.
So exactly. So, and a lot of that is like that when sometimes a fan or something, they don't let you go to the restroom. They don't let you go get a cup of coffee. They're constantly like almost like a puppy dog on you. And I don't think that they even realize that what they're doing. But there's no separation to it. It's like, you know, and you try to be as polite as you can be. And I'm thankful for my fan base. I'm not saying that, but sometimes there's been a few that I'm like, it's a little kind of scary, but, my art must suck. No one ever asked me to take a picture. Eric, whatever, man. You're brilliant. You're awesome. You're a great artist, man. You don't need us to validate that. Jeez. Look at your numbers on Kickstarter.
When I was in a place called Bolton doing the Crikey thing, and this guy came in. I don't know who he was. I don't know who it was to this day. He was about 17. He came in and he said, "Oh, what's this? What's this new magazine?" So I told him, and he looked at it and he said, "Oh, I'd like one of these." And my partner in crime there said, "It's £3.99, please." He said, and he said, "Oh, I don't usually have to pay." So this guy says, "Well, you're gonna have to pay today."
Yeah.
So he got his money in his pocket. So I don't know who he was, just walking around getting freebies all the time.
I don't know either. Joe asks, does the UK show have a rotating artist alley like Japan? Meaning you have the table for so many hours and you have to rotate out with another. And wow.
I don't know.
No, I don't like that. I don't like that at all, man. I mean, the sense of urgency would be good, I guess. The artist's only going to be there for, between 1 and 3 or something.
I don't think I'd like that.
I don't think I would either. Because you need to have you need that designated space.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, it was a good conversation, man. I know we're running over a little bit of an hour. So, you guys check out everything we're doing on Comics Unlimited. I do have, I want to give a little update. I'm going to be doing probably a announcement tomorrow, a small video. So I had shipments of, the first shipment of, Grimm 101 book 2 that came in. And of course, the orientation's wrong in the book. And so I called them immediately to the printer to get things valid, to get it changed out and get it structured. We're trying to get that worked out now. We're already, as we speak, it's going to be the middle of March next Monday. So I don't know. I don't know where I'm going to be as far as delivering fulfillment on my Kickstarter. It's very frustrating. I'm frustrated. And it's an oversight on the printer's fault. So as I'm sure Glenn understands too, you guys know, as publishing, we're relying on a lot of different people. Oh. And so the first set of books that came in were incorrect. Like I said, I'm trying to straighten that out now. So I'm hoping with everything they mandate, get this thing facilitated and straightened out, and then get them to me as soon as they can. So I'll keep you abreast of what's going on. But in realistic terms, that they're talking maybe another week or two. I don't know. And I know I'm going to be traveling to out of state during that time, and they might be delivered when I'm not there. So you guys can kind of figure out the game plan of what I'm trying to say. So, but I'll put them out as soon as they come in, as soon as I get them it's all ready to go, and I'll have it. I'm all ready to go shipping wise. It's just the product now. I'm still working on the figures. There was a couple of changes on the figure mountings that I'm doing, because they weren't as strong as I want them to be. So I'm going to be doing some changes there, and I'll explain that a little bit later once they're more complete, so you guys will know. Sorry, I didn't mean to do it on the show, but I want to, since we have so many people listening, I'd rather, do it so people know what's going on. And you the same thing. If anything happens with your Kickstarters or whatever, Indiegogos, we, use this platform, please, by all means. Okay. I think that's it, man. I think that's, oh, and then of course, next week, we talked about this. Glenn and I talked about it. I already talked to Brian K. Morris about this too. The next 2 weeks, I'm not going to have any live broadcasts. TED Talks. I've got a few things that came up at the house as well. And I'm trying to straighten out everything right now with a few things. Plus, I'm going to be traveling to Kentucky for the Lexington Comic-Con. So the next 2 weeks, I'm going to not have any live, including this show, as well as Drinking with the Davies. Sad, So this Friday, make sure you check out Drinking with the Davies because it's going to be a good drink as usual. That should be it. So thanks, guys, for tuning in. Anything else, man?
No, that's about it. Except
right, cool.
Go to Indiegogo right now and get this.
Absolutely.
And get that.
You just got to type in Jack Kirby Indiegogo and watch what pops up.
Yeah.
So, easy peasy. So,
full of all fantastic photographs and all sorts of stuff.
Absolutely. And great information. Get the DVD. Yeah. You can see Jack the Man versus Jack the King.
You'll think you've been there.
Yep. So, all right. Well, we'll talk to you soon. Try to have a good weekend. It's coming up soon, isn't it?
See you, everybody.
Yeah. It's just busy. So I got to write.
Yep.
So I'll talk to you soon, man. All right. Stick around.
See you soon. Yep.
Welcome to the Comics Unlimited podcast with your hosts, Glenn B. Fleming and Ted Davis.